a more like modern definition of feminism, it's kind of like aligning with a political party completely and totally. It's if you're a feminist, you're expected to be certain things that if you do disagree with someone on something, they're going to tell you you're not that anymore.
I agree with that, but like I'm a feminist by definition of, you know, men are equal to women.
Well, isn't that just egalitarianism?
Right.
And that, I guess.
But so, I mean, feminism, I think, is different than being an egalitarian or
In, like,
egalitarian.
what way?
Well, an egalitarian truly believes that men and women are equal and they fight for equality between men and women. But feminism, that's something different.
I feel like maybe it's morphed into something different, but generally on the basis of being men and women are equal, like raising women to the standard of what they should be, which is equal to a man from where it used to be, was like
yeah. So feminism is essentially women's advocacy.
Yeah.
I don't consider it seeking equality. You want to come in on this? Go ahead.
No, it's different like they're different concepts entirely. I feel like feminism itself is such a nebulous, weird term that's kind of become meaningless thanks to terminally online Twitter weirdos. But there's one group here that needs advocating for, and there's one that doesn't.
Which one?
Woman.
I disagree. Men absolutely need to be advocated for.
In certain areas, yes, but
which
feminism
areas?
Also supports men.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
It's about dismantling toxic masculinity, which hurts men just as much as it hurts women.
There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's just
You're right.
toxicity.
It's just called masculinity.
Whoa. Oh. No, there's toxic people. There's no such thing as
There's absolutely toxic masculinity.
Is there such thing as toxic femininity?
Yes, absolutely. God.
I don't see the point in making it a gendered term. People are just toxic.
Masculinity.
There's egalitarianism and then there's equity. Sorry, you were talking.
No, go for it. I like.
Please go for it.
Yeah. There's like egalitarians. It's like everybody. Say you have like a 1 foot tall person, a 2 foot tall person, and a 3 foot tall person, and you give them all the same size box to see a baseball game over a fence. I'm taking this from an image macro, so
I've
forgive
seen
me.
it. I know what you're talking about.
Equity is everyone gets boxes high enough to see over the fence. And
I mean, that's reducing a very complex.
Egalitarianism is everyone gets the same size box.
I mean, I know the image you're talking about. That's reducing a very complex issue to a very sort of base level.
But it doesn't.
Thing.
Is it wrong? Because that's what egalitarianism is by definition.
You're talking about equity. So there's equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. So I don't believe in equality of outcome, but I do believe in equality of opportunity. So equality of outcome would be, if equality of outcome is you set up society so everyone gets the same outcome, but that doesn't take into consideration that people have different personality traits and they have different competency. So, and equality of outcome is frankly impossible.
That's very true.
So
but
I think
on average, men aren't dying because they can't get life-saving medical procedures.
Actually, men aren't dying because
they can't get life-saving medical procedures.
Are we talking about COVID? Because actually men were more impacted by COVID.
No, we're talking about abortion.
Roe v. Wade.
Oh,
yeah.
We're talking about Roe v. Well, men don't have any reproductive rights to begin with, so.
He's got it.
They do.
But we don't have to talk about abortion. Well, okay, I'm not going to go in there. But hot button issue. So.
Next question.
No, we can. No, it's good. It's good. It's fun for the viewers. It's good debate. Wait, so you said that men don't need advocacy?
No, I didn't say men don't need advocacy. They don't need.
Play that back.
As much.
I think men actually need more advocacy. Hot take.
That's a hot take. I'm scalding.
Because like men's mental health has been.
Men's mental health has been, but that's because of, again, toxic masculinity, which is pushing down your emotions.
There's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
I was raised as the son in my family with an actual son.
But I don't see the point in gendering these terms. I mean, what why not just call toxic behavior? Why?
Because
because toxic masculinity is going to be a divisive
masculinity
term. Is wonderful?
No, it's not specific to men. Masculine and feminine behaviors aren't necessarily specific to the gender you would think they would be assigned to. And those I know plenty of like old school women who are like, women should be in the kitchen, and men should be the breadwinners, whatever. And that's also a toxically masculine behavior.
So traditional gender norms, you think that's toxic? I don't think so.
To an depends on how hard line you are about enforcing them. Yeah.
Enforcing them. I don't think that should be enforced. I think women should absolutely have the choice if they want to work and pursue a career. Absolutely. But if a woman also wants to be a housewife, I don't think that should be shamed either.
Yeah, no, neither should be shamed. But I have plenty of friends with mother-in-laws from hell who.
What's that have to do with?
Because they're the ones who my friends have careers. They're women with careers and jobs, and like they do that, and they like hire a nanny, or sometimes their husband stays at home and he's a stay-at-home dad, and their mother-in-laws are just nightmares about it, shaming their sons for staying home and taking care of their children, calling it babysitting. Raising your own kid is not babysitting, and then shaming the mothers for working. That is also a toxically masculine trait.
What does masculinity have to do?
Because it's
with
a
that?
masculine.
Can't it just be toxic?
I mean, it could, but you'd be just ignoring the definitions of most sociopolitical terms.
That's just toxic. Like that mother-in-law is just toxic, straight toxic. It doesn't like whether she's a female or male, like just toxic.
But there is such thing as toxic femininity, just
Agreed.
not in this example that you're setting up for her. So I feel like you're putting her in a straw man position.
How so?
Whereas like toxic femininity, I think of like the vixen, the woman who uses sex specifically just to like, or very feminine features to like be a damsel in distress, to like get like men or money or certain things like that. And like toxic masculinity, where it's like, you know, like the gym boy, the testosterone, the we need to play football, we need to do all this.
I don't think that's toxic.
I mean, it can be though. Can you agree to a certain extent? Because it's all in
A guy
degrees
wanting
and
to play
levels.
football is toxic.
Can I get an example how
No.
that could be toxic? I'm just curious, how could that be toxic?
Well, I'm saying in their own levels, like a man just being like, I need to be in this male position because like I'm a man, so I need to be strong and I need to be buff and I need to be into these very male things to prove my masculinity. That's
I think that's
I don't think
desirable.
That's toxic.
I think that's admirable.
I don't think that's toxic. I think that that's just like, you know, like males have these traits and maybe, you know, like, I don't know. Personally, I don't think that's toxic. That could have just been how they've grown up. Like their dad is just like, oh, you have to do this, this, and this. That could be something they're super into. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of guy friends. I have a lot of football friends who are super into that. And that's kind of how their life is because that's the future that they see for themselves. They want to go D1. They want to do all this stuff. And that is what their life surrounds themselves as because that is their future. I get that, you know, just like my future is like this, so I surround myself around this. I don't necessarily see that as toxic. They can go about it in a toxic way, absolutely, but I don't see that as toxic, personally.
But what about what we were saying like earlier with mental health? How like men like...
Oh yeah, men's mental health is a lot, like I don't know statistics, but like women's mental health is taken care of much more than men's for a reason I don't understand.
And I think a lot of it is because, again, the word toxic masculinity is like...
They feel like they can't open up their... Exactly. Yeah. Men don't... And again, I have a lot of guy friends, but they don't feel the need. Like when they have issues, it takes a while to get them to open up about it because men feel like they can't open up about it. And when they do open up about it to their other guy friends, it takes a minute and they don't even open up about it to like, oh, I'm struggling with this, this, and this. They're just like, yeah, man, rough day. Like that's it. Mm-hmm. So men's mental health is a lot lower talked about than females. And it's really hard on them. Isn't it like, and again, I don't know the stats, but isn't it like men's suicide is a higher rating than women?
Men's successful suicide attempts are much higher than women. However, women do attempt suicide much more than men. And that's because men tend to choose things like guns and knives, whereas women tend to choose things like pills.
I don't think that makes a.
I got my master's in psychology.
Okay,
So-
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, like, I don't
pills
think how
fail
they treat
a lot more than a gun does.
Okay, so I'm just going to come in really quick. So just on this topic. So I'm not entirely sure if that's actually true. So as far as women attempt suicide more, I'm not even sure if that's true. Men certainly commit suicide more. I believe 80%.
Successfully.
The vast majority of suicides are committed by men. The vast majority of homeless are men. The vast majority of workplace deaths are men. The vast majority of military deaths are men. I mean, there's ways in which both men and women are disadvantaged. But I mean, to say that there's one group that needs no advocacy and another group that needs a bunch of advocacy, I think you can make a very strong argument that it's actually, in today's day and age, men actually need more advocacy. There's more women going to college, for example. That's another one.
That's a choice.
Men
It's
aren't
a
supported
choice.
as much too. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
But wait, so hold on, just so I'm clear. When it comes to university, back when there was a underrepresentation of women in university, it was the patriarchy and sexism. But now that there's more women in college, it's just men's choices.
Well, what are the men doing? Are they going to trade school? That's a perfectly respectable thing. In fact, I personally, as a person who went into a graduate level education, think that trade school is much more respectable than a college education in most instances. You're making more money, you're not drowning in debt, and you have a job that's actually useful. And you're not working retail to pay off a master's degree. My degree has nothing to do with what I do. Again, I am a software tester. And I got my degree in psychology.
I want to just open this up to the other people on the panel if they want to come in on anything. Kayla, do you have any take on this?
About
Just
toxic masculinity?
or just what we've been talking about.
Well, I have a few thoughts on toxic masculinity, and I think that
You mean it doesn't exist?
I think that
To the microphone, please.
I think that it does exist for certain people. For example, if we growing up in Texas, there's a lot of a man should do this and a woman should do that. And while I personally stand by gender norms, I like them for my relationships. I don't believe everyone should be that way, but I have seen people be raised by men who say you have to do this, you have to do that, and their kids turn out very depressed because, maybe you have a child who's transgender and they feel they cannot be that way because of the norms pushed onto them. That's just how I feel about that. I don't think it applies to everyone, though.
I mean, it's a complicated issue, but it's going to be a pretty boring answer, but where I pretty much stand is both sides face so much hardship and different, varying degrees, different ways, but the hardest part about finding a solution to any of it is literally conversations being pit against each other, oh, one group faces more, one group faces less, no. When in reality, it's there's toxicity on femininity and there's toxicity in masculinity, but
I think toxicity knows no gender.
Yeah,
men can be
does
toxic,
that.
women can be toxic, dogs can be toxic. This dog's good though. This dog's chilling.
Good night.
Well, let me just finish this thought here. So, but actually, go ahead.
Can I turn our attention to the comment who thinks this incredibly cheap wig is real hair? Bro, get it together, please.
Maybe it's just it might be a very convincing wig,